Oh, look at these two. All right, come on. You okay?
The executive at the center of a kiss cam controversy is stepping down.
They realize they're on camera, then they pull the ripcord on that moment. I don't know where he went. Can you imagine getting busted at a Coldplay concert of all places?
Wife, he has children, these kids are gonna have to watch and see this. They don't look, I would be devastated if I was his wife.
This is pretty viral stuff. Or do we have to get HR involved? I mean, I know that HR was involved.
Astronomer HR chief Kristen Cabot has been spotted for the first time since the Coldplay kiss cam scandal that led to her resignation. With her one kiss, she kissed her career away. What started as a sweet moment on the kiss cam became a public and emotional execution. In less than 20 seconds, a CEO lost it all: his career, his marriage, and likely half his fortune. But that was just the start. As the moment spread like wildfire, former employees spoke up to reveal a darker truth. Years of silence were broken. Accusations buried deep were now exposed. And then came the shocking new details that the woman in the video potentially wasn't his first wife. A CEO has been sacrificed, which officially marks the beginning of the summer.
The way that this man embarrassed his wife so publicly, he should be ashamed and put in jail and put this other one in jail.
The moment the video went viral, something strange happened. People who had worked under Andy Byron, some who hadn't spoken about him in years, started coming forward. Quiet group chats turned loud. Former employees began posting cryptic tweets, TikToks, and Reddit comments hinting at a toxic culture that stretched back long before the kiss cam scandal. For years, Andy had been painted as a visionary leader, a charismatic salesman who could convince investors, employees, and the press that Astronomer was the next big thing in tech. But behind closed doors, ex-staff described someone very different. They spoke of impossible quotas, constant pressure, and a leadership style that blurred boundaries between personal loyalty and professional ethics. He played favorites, one former sales rep wrote. If you were in his inner circle, you got promotions, bonuses, everything. If you weren't, you were disposable. Rumors of inappropriate relationships had followed Andy before. Former colleagues from his previous company, Cyber Reason, recalled whispers of an affair with a junior sales employee, a relationship many believed was quietly swept under the rug after Andy left with a massive payout. At the time, no one could prove anything. But now, with the kiss cam footage, those old rumors suddenly felt less like gossip and more like foreshadowing. Kristen Kerrigan's involvement only fueled the outrage. She wasn't just another executive, she was the head of HR, the person employees were supposed to trust when reporting misconduct. To see her in the middle of the scandal shattered whatever faith remained in the company's leadership. Who investigates HR when HR is the problem? One viral tweet asked. The question was rhetorical, but it cut straight to the heart of the chaos unraveling inside Astronomer. As these stories resurfaced, more ex-staff piled on, sharing frustrations about unfulfilled promises and lost opportunities. Some claimed they'd joined Astronomer believing they'd strike it rich with stock options, only to watch Andy cash out while employees were left with nothing. Others hinted that this wasn't just about infidelity. It was about power, favoritism, and a culture where executives seemed untouchable. What shocked outsiders most was the consistency of the accounts. These weren't random trolls. They were people who had worked directly under Andy and Kristen. Many posted old photos, emails, even Slack messages to back up their claims. The narrative shifted fast. This wasn't just a messy affair. It was a company-wide reckoning years in the making. And as the pressure mounted, Astronomer's polished silence began to crack. The board had no choice but to act. For days, defenders of Andy Byron clung to one last shred of plausible deniability. Maybe the kiss cam moment had been misunderstood. Maybe Kristen Kerrigan leaned in innocently. Maybe Andy was just being friendly. Maybe, just maybe, the internet had overreacted. Then the second video dropped. Shot from another angle, just a few rows back, the footage was longer, clearer, and devastatingly conclusive. This time, there was no awkward half smile, no stiff posture. It showed Andy and Kristen leaning close, whispering, laughing, and then kissing. Not a hesitant brush, not an accidental graze, but an unmistakable kiss in the middle of 65,000 people and one very unlucky Jumbotron operator. Any last defense evaporated in an instant. The maybe it's innocent crowd went silent. Memes erupted, more savage than ever. One stitched the new footage with Coldplay's Fix You, captioned, HR violations be like. Another compared it to a live episode of Succession. The internet didn't just see an affair, it saw a spectacle, a fall from grace playing out in real time. Coldplay themselves even felt the ripple. Chris Martin, midway through the tour, reportedly started joking with couples during later shows. Are you really together? Are you sure? The crowd laughed, but everyone knew exactly what he was referring to. The scandal had transcended transcended astronomer. It was pop culture now. As the new clip spread, speculation about fallout reached a fever pitch. Would Andy lose his fortune in divorce court? Would Kristen face legal consequences at work? Was this just about infidelity, or were corporate ethics violations coming next? Former employees whispered about NDAs and potential lawsuits. Reddit threads mapped out possible severance packages and stock forfeitures, as if analyzing the endgame of a tech soap opera. Then came the legal reality check. A viral TikTok from a divorce attorney explained that Massachusetts, where Andy and Megan lived, was a no-fault divorce state, meaning cheating wouldn't automatically cost Andy half his fortune. The internet groaned collectively. Revenge fantasies of Megan taking him for everything collapsed overnight. But even if he kept his money, his reputation was shredded, because in the court of public opinion, no fault didn't matter. Andy Byron was no longer brilliant tech CEO. He was the kiss cam guy, the meme, the scandal, the man who lost everything in 20 seconds flat. And just when it seemed like the story couldn't get darker, the loudest voices weren't from TikTok or Reddit. They were from people who had known Andy and Kristen personally, and what they had to say would take this from bad to catastrophic. When the second video confirmed what everyone already suspected, former astronomer employees saw their chance. They'd been watching in silence as the scandal unfolded, trading knowing glances in private group chats, waiting for the moment when the internet would finally believe them. Now they didn't just join the conversation, they owned it. Anonymous posts started popping up on Reddit and Blind, a forum for tech workers. Screenshots of old Slack messages, hints of favoritism in promotions, stories about late-night strategy sessions that blurred the line between professional and personal. One ex-employee wrote, "This isn't shocking to anyone who worked there. It was an open secret." Others alleged something bigger, a pattern of misconduct stretching back years. At Andy's previous company, Cyber, similar rumors swirled about an affair with a younger sales rep, rumors that mysteriously vanished when he left with a massive payout. Now, with the Coldplay footage, those whispers resurfaced, painting a picture of repeated behavior rather than an isolated mistake. The most damning claims came from people who had worked directly under Kristen Kerrigan. They accused her of using her HR position to protect leadership rather than employees, allegedly fast-tracking certain promotions and ignoring complaints about toxic behavior. One former staffer said bluntly, "Who do you even report HR misconduct to? HR was the misconduct." As these accounts flooded social media, the narrative shifted again. This wasn't just about a kiss. It wasn't just about infidelity. It was about power, who had it, how they abused it, and how long they'd been shielded from consequences. Speculation exploded. Would regulators step in? Would lawsuits follow? Was this the start of a broader investigation into astronomers' culture? People began predicting SEC inquiries, shareholder lawsuits, even whistleblower cases. The scandal had officially crossed over from gossip to potential legal drama. And the deeper everyone dug, the uglier it got. Employees described a boys' club mentality at the top. Lavish off-site retreats, inner circles protected by NDAs, promises of life-changing stock options that never materialized. Some even suggested Kristen's sudden promotion months before the concert wasn't based on merit, but something more personal. By the time mainstream outlets picked up these accounts, Astronomer wasn't just trending, it was radioactive. Recruiters reported candidates refusing to interview there. Clients quietly cut ties. The company's carefully curated image of innovation and ethics was gone, replaced by memes, exposés, and speculation about just how deep the rot really went. And for Andy Byron, there was no coming back. The man who once sold investors on a billion-dollar dream was now reduced to a viral cautionary tale, a reminder of how fast power can crumble when the spotlight turns your way. Gillette Stadium was electric that night. Coldplay's anthems echoed through the summer air, lights pulsing across a sea of 65,000 fans swaying in unison. It was the kind of concert where everything feels cinematic, until one split-second moment turned the show into something else entirely. As the cameras swept the crowd for smiling couples, they landed on two people who didn't fit the mood. A man and a woman sat close, but not too close, frozen, stiff, barely smiling as the audience around them cheered. The Jumbotron lingered. Chris Martin himself joked from the stage, teasing them about looking like they were either shy or having an affair. The crowd laughed, but the awkward way they leaned in, the way his arm wrapped around her, told a different story, one the internet would dissect frame by frame within minutes. That man was Andy Byron, CEO of Astronomer, a billion-dollar tech company. The woman beside him? Kristen Kerrigan, Astronomer's head of HR, and both were married to other people. What should have been a funny concert moment instantly spiraled into something darker, because this wasn't just a kiss cam, it was a corporate scandal caught in 4K. By the next morning, the clip had exploded online. TikToks captioned "Trouble in Paradise" hit millions of views overnight. Twitter threads identified the pair within 17 minutes, linking their LinkedIn profiles, wedding photos, and family details for the world to see. The memes came fast, but so did the outrage. People weren't just laughing, they were furious. Furious that a CEO and his own HR chief, the people meant to uphold company ethics, were exposed like this. Furious for the families blindsided in real time. And just like that, what started as an awkward moment on a stadium screen became the opening scene of one of the most public corporate downfalls in years. But this was only the beginning, because as the clip went viral, something even more explosive started happening. Former employees began speaking out, and the secrets they revealed would turn a scandal into an all-out reckoning. The internet didn't waste a single second. 17 minutes. That's all it took for TikTok detectives, Reddit sleuths, and Twitter thread warriors to dig up everything about the couple on that jumbotron. Screenshots of LinkedIn profiles spread like wildfire. Old company photos, news articles, even wedding registries surfaced online. By the time most people were still waking up the next morning, strangers already knew every detail of their lives, where they worked, who they were married to, even the names of their children. The revelation hit harder than anyone expected. Andy Byron wasn't just any executive. He was the billionaire face of Astronomer, a fast-growing tech company that positioned itself as an ethical leader in the industry. Kristen Kerrigan wasn't just a coworker. She was the company's head of HR, the very person responsible for enforcing workplace conduct and holding others accountable. To see her in the middle of this scandal, it was the ultimate irony. Comment sections exploded. How does the head of HR get caught in the biggest HR violation imaginable? One user wrote. Others joked about mandatory training videos predicting Astronomer's next orientation would feature this exact clip as a cautionary tale. But beneath the jokes was outrage, especially from people who had worked at the company. Former employees began to chime in, some anonymously, others openly. They hinted this wasn't just about one kiss or one concert. There were whispers about a pattern, a culture of favoritism, and blurred lines at the very top of the company. Some even claimed this wasn't Andy's first affair, that similar rumors had followed him from his previous role at another tech firm. As names trended across platforms and the story spiraled, Astronomer's board of directors was forced into damage control mode. A short, polished statement appeared on LinkedIn. Astronomer remains committed to the values and culture that have guided us since our founding. Our leaders are expected to set the standard in conduct and accountability. A formal investigation is underway. Comments were disabled within the hour, but by then it didn't matter. The internet was already digging deeper, pulling at threads the company hoped would stay buried. Because for the first time, people weren't just looking at one scandal. They were questioning everything about Andy Byron's leadership. And what they were about to find would make the kiss look almost tame in comparison. By the morning after the kiss cam clip exploded, Astronomer was in freefall. What had started as a viral meme turned into a full-blown corporate crisis in less than 24 hours. Investors were panicking, clients were calling for answers, and employees were demanding accountability from the very people tasked with enforcing it. The board of directors moved fast, faster than most companies ever do in a scandal this size. Within a single day, Andy Byron was placed on administrative leave. Hours later, Kristen Kerrigan was suspended as well. The message was clear. Astronomer was trying to contain the fire before it burned the entire company down. But it was already too late. Internally, chaos reigned. Emergency meetings stretched late into the night as crisis PR firms were brought in to craft statements and prep executives for what was coming. HR manuals were quietly pulled and rewritten. Leadership Slack channels went silent. And employees, who found out about the scandal the same way the rest of the world did through TikTok, were left wondering who they could even trust. The company issued a polished statement on LinkedIn, carefully worded and painfully vague. Astronomer is committed to upholding the highest standards of conduct and accountability. Effective immediately, Andy Byron will be stepping down as CEO, and Kristen Kerrigan will no longer serve as Chief People Officer. We remain focused on our mission and supporting our team during this transition. But if Astronomer hoped this would calm the storm, they were dead wrong. Within hours, both Andy and Kristen wiped their social media profiles clean. LinkedIn pages deactivated, Instagram accounts set to private, years of posts and photos erased overnight. It was as if they'd vanished, leaving nothing behind but the scandal itself. For employees still at Astronomer, the silence was deafening. There were no town halls, no heartfelt apologies, no explanation for how something like this could happen at the highest level of leadership. The very people who had preached transparency were suddenly nowhere to be found. And in that vacuum, speculation only grew louder. Was this really just about one kiss? Or was Astronomer hiding something bigger, something that former employees had been warning about for years? The internet had already chosen its answer, and the next twist in the saga would send the story spiraling into even murkier territory. Just when it seemed like Astronomer's silence couldn't make things worse, the internet filled the void with fakes. The first appeared less than 2 days after the kiss cam moment. A supposed apology from Andy Byron began circulating on Facebook, then Twitter, then TikTok. It looked real enough. Corporate-sounding language about reflection, accountability, and the need for privacy. The kicker? A closing line quoting Coldplay lyrics, "Lights will guide you home, and I will try to fix you." It was dramatic, poetic, and perfect for the narrative. Too perfect. Millions believed it instantly. News blogs even picked it up, reporting Andy's heartfelt apology as fact. But within hours, Astronomer issued a blunt statement. The apology was fake. Andy had made no public comments. The post, they said, had originated from a random Facebook page with no connection to him or the company. The denial only made things messier. If Andy wasn't speaking, why not? And if the apology was fake, who created it? Some speculated it was damage control gone wrong, an unofficial PR trial balloon that got leaked. Others claimed it was fan fiction from someone obsessed with the drama. Either way, the line between reality and rumor was now completely blurred. Then came the second blow, another fake statement, this time allegedly from Andy's wife, Megan. The letter was devastating. It read like something out of a prestige drama, polished, venomous, cutting him to pieces without ever raising its voice. The tone was scathing yet elegant, accusing him of humiliation under stadium lights and declaring she was issuing this statement not in heartbreak, but in power. It went even more viral than Andy's fake apology. People quoted it in TikTok reaction videos, stitched dramatic readings over Coldplay's Fix You, and hailed Megan as a hero. But once again, it was completely fabricated. Megan never spoke publicly. Not in interviews, not on social media, not once. The truth was simpler and far sadder. Megan remained silent while the internet built an entire narrative around her. And with every fake post, every meme, every speculative thread, the real story slipped further out of reach. In that silence, chaos thrived. Comment sections argued about what was real and what wasn't. Amateur detectives treated the scandal like a true crime case, piecing together timelines and body language analysis from concert footage. Some people even claimed the entire thing was staged, a viral marketing stunt for Coldplay's tour or a tech company they'd never heard of before. The longer Andy and Kristen stayed silent, the more people projected their own stories onto them. In an age where silence is seen as guilt, every day without a statement felt like confirmation. But while the internet was spinning out of control, something much more personal was happening behind the scenes, and it would leave a scar deeper than any meme ever could. While the internet was screaming, Megan Byron said nothing. No interviews, no statements, no public appearances, just silence. But in that silence, people noticed the smallest of moves, and each one spoke volumes. The first sign came quietly. Megan's social media pages, which had once been filled with family photos and vacation snapshots, began to change. Within days of the kiss cam going viral, she removed Andy's last name from her profiles. Posts featuring him disappeared. By the end of the week, her entire account was gone, deactivated completely. For many, that single act hit harder than any public statement could. It wasn't dramatic or theatrical, it was quiet, deliberate, and final. The kind of move you make when words aren't enough. TikTok lit up with sympathy for Megan. Strangers flooded comment sections with messages of support. Stay strong. You didn't deserve this. Protect your peace. Some even began sharing old photos of her and Andy, contrasting them with screenshots from the kiss cam. Two timelines colliding in the most public, brutal way imaginable. But beneath the sympathy, a darker conversation emerged. How do you explain this to your kids? Andy and Megan had 2 young children who were now at the center of a scandal they never asked for. Overnight, their dad wasn't just CEO Andy Byron. He was the man caught cuddling another woman on a stadium jumbotron. A meme, a punchline, a permanent part of internet history. One viral TikTok put it bluntly, Imagine having to grow up knowing your dad was the kiss cam guy. It wasn't just gossip anymore, it was a legacy, a story those kids would carry with them long after the memes died out. Meghan never confirmed the rumors, never posted a cryptic quote, never played into the drama. Her silence became its own form of strength. While the internet dissected every frame of the video, she quietly walked away from the spotlight, and from him. But the story didn't stop there, because just when people thought they'd seen the worst of it, another video surfaced. One that erased every shred of doubt and made the scandal impossible to downplay. In the end, one kiss cost more than anyone could have imagined. A billion-dollar company lost its CEO, a family was torn apart in public, and 2 careers evaporated overnight. But the fallout went beyond headlines and hashtags. It exposed the cracks that had been forming for years, the power imbalances and quiet misconduct hiding in plain sight. It's easy to see this as just another viral scandal, another meme in an endless news cycle. But behind the jokes and TikToks are real people whose lives will never be the same. A wife who chose silence over spectacle. Children who will grow up knowing their father's name trends for the wrong reasons. Employees who finally felt vindicated, but only after years of being ignored. And maybe that's the bigger story. In an age where one viral moment can rewrite your legacy, power isn't just dangerous, it's fragile. Because it only takes a single spotlight, a single camera, a single kiss, to bring an entire empire crashing down.